Okay, we're doing chapter 5 today, which is carbohydrates and lipids, which is what I have up here on the board with my magnets. We're going to help learn this with magnets. That's sugar. Have you ever seen sugar before?
Oh yeah. Never.
Are you getting this up here, Sam?
Never.
It's like 5 or 6.
There you go. So that's sugar. Sugar is made up of a molecule called sucrose. So what we want to do is we want to learn what sucrose is. Well, carbohydrates are energy molecules, but they can also be used for structure. Go ahead. What it is, it's a ring of carbon atoms that's bonded to H's and OH's. At every point of the hexagon is a carbon. They don't have it written up here, but it's understood that it's there. Carbon, 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 carbon. This is C6H12O6. And that's called glucose. That's blood sugar. Now there's another type of sugar that looks a lot like glucose. It's called fructose.
Oh, like corn syrup.
Like in corn syrup, yeah. It's also C6H12O6, but it has a different shape. It's a pentagon instead of a hexagon.
So the shape can determine the properties of it?
It can. The shape can change the properties. That's fruit sugar, and glucose is blood sugar. But if you take a fructose molecule and a glucose molecule and you put them together, you know what you have?
Sugar.
Sucrose. Sucrose is two of these.
So wouldn't it be
Put it together.
C12H24O12?
It would be.
Did my team get bonus points?
It's actually because you take out, when you hook them together, you take out an H and two O's. Remember that? So it's actually, or two H's and an O. It's actually C12
H11.
H22
Oh, yeah.
O11. But anyway, that's what sucrose is. Sugar is a bunch of these molecules. Now, I want you to understand how small these things are. These molecules are tiny. If you take 1 grain of sugar, one single grain, y'all know how big a sugar grain is, right? Tiny. 1 grain of sugar has about this many sucrose molecules. One grain of sugar has that many sucrose molecules in it.
How do you read that number? That's really
Well, a 1 followed by 3 zeros is 1,000, right? You put a 1 there, that's 1,000,000. You put a 1 there, that's 1,000,000,000. You put a 1 there, that's 1,000,000,000,000. If you put a 1 there, that's 1,000,000,000,000. And if you put a 1 there, that's 1,000,000,000,000.
So that's 1 to the 7th?
1 quintillion, 1 to the 18th,
over
10 to the 18th.
Dang.
That's how many sugar molecules there are in 1 grain. Imagine how many is in the whole bowl. A lot. You'd have to add another, how many grains do you think are in there? 100,000 grains?
I'd say more than that.
You'd have to add another 4 or 5 zeros. Alright, so, anywho, these molecules are small. That's my point. These molecules are small. And the atoms that make those molecules are even smaller. Just understand that. We're talking about little things here. Okay, so let's learn about these things. Now, if you put sugar on your tongue, what's it taste like?
Sweet.
Tastes sweet. Most carbohydrates, when they're single ring or double ring, they taste sweet. So we call a single ring carbohydrate a monosaccharide. Can you say monosaccharide?
Monosaccharide.
All at the same time.
Monosaccharide.
Nice. A monosaccharide is a single ring carbohydrate. And like I just said, some examples are glucose and fructose. Blood sugar and milk and fruit sugar. That's a monosaccharide, and that shows the structure of glucose and fructose.
We will not have to know how to spell that, correct?
Monosaccharide?
Yes.
I don't really count out for spelling usually, unless you, if you spell cow, C-A-T, I have to count off for spelling, right? So just do your best when you have to spell. Now, like I said, if you hook two of these together, if you take a monosaccharide like glucose or fructose and hook it to another monosaccharide like glucose or fructose, bam! You don't have a monosaccharide anymore. You know what you have?
Polysaccharide.
Close. You have a disaccharide.
Oh.
Di meaning two. Saccharide meaning sugars. Two sugars hooked together. That's a disaccharide. I'll tell you some examples of a disaccharide. Well, one of them I just mentioned. What was it?
Sugar.
Sugar.
Table sugar,
Which is what was the word for sugar?
Sucrose.
Sucrose. Have y'all ever heard of lactose?
Yes. I don't like that.
Some people are lactose intolerant. That's milk sugar. Milk sugar is like two of these connected together, but different from sucrose. Sucrose is actually glucose and fructose hooked together.
If you ate
And
enough,
lactose, I think, is two glucoses hooked together.
if you ate enough glucose, could you form lactose?
Yes. Yeah, what your body does is, if you have a lot of sugar in your blood, your body will take those sugars, and this happens in your liver. Your liver will take all these sugars that are just floating around in the blood, and the liver will store them. And the way it stores them is to just hook them all together in a big molecule. And you know what we call this big molecule that forms from a bunch of these all hooked together? It's not a monosaccharide, it's not a disaccharide. You know what it is?
Protein? No.
Somebody said it earlier.
Polysaccharide.
Polysaccharide.
Good job, Jinky. Thank you.
A polysaccharide is many of these hooked together. And some examples of that, well, I have it on the next page. This is also in your book. Starch. You ever heard of starch? Like in a potato? Starch is a big polysaccharide. That's one example. Glycogen. Glycogen is liver sugar. The sugar that's stored in your liver. Cellulose. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Cellulose is the most common molecule on this planet besides water. Cellulose. It's what makes up the wood in trees. It makes up the wood that makes this desk. It makes up your paper. It's the cell wall. It makes the cell walls of trees. It's many, many sugar molecules all strung together. Isn't that cool? Just think, if you could digest that molecule, you could eat paper.
I would not want to do that.
Paper. God, paper's so good. Wouldn't that be cool? But you can't digest it. You could go out there and eat bark off a tree if you could digest cellulose. Just eating some bark. It's like, you gonna come eat lunch to the cafeteria? No, I'm just gonna eat this bark.
Is that why people can't digest Twinkies?
Can't digest what?
Twinkies.
You can digest.
No, you can digest Twinkies.
You can't?
It's a myth.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you can't digest it, they wouldn't sell it. They do not
They took
consume.
them off the market for a while.
That's because they're unhealthy.
Starch, glycogen, cellulose, also chitin. Chitin is what makes a crab shell.
Isn't that also like fingernails?
Or fingernails.
And hair?
And hair is protein.
Stuff, stuff.
What's that? Rhino horn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always right.
So these are polysaccharides. Now, let's talk a little bit about the properties. If you put that on your tongue, it tastes sweet. If you put these on your tongue, it tastes sweet. If you put these on your tongue, it doesn't taste sweet. Isn't that strange? Your tongue picks up those as being sweet, but it doesn't pick up that as being sweet. But it's the same molecules. If you swallow these or swallow this, it'll be broken down by the digestive system back into sugars. So eating starch, like eating French fries, is just like eating sugar. It's the same molecules. Same identical molecules.
So is like every food sugar?
Not every food, but all carbohydrates are sugars. But like paper, you can eat paper, which is this, but you can't digest that. That'll go right through your system. You'll end up with really bad diarrhea if you eat a bunch of paper. Don't eat a bunch of paper. But there are animals that can digest it. Termites can digest wood. And they can eat wood, and it's just like eating sugar for them. Isn't that cool? You want to see video footage?
Biomolecules are groups of atoms held together by chemical bonds produced by living organisms. They are also what we need to consume every day in order to survive. One of these known macromolecules is called carbohydrates. Every year people say they're going on a low-carb diet, or all I eat is sugar.
Okay, quiet please, watch video.
Biomolecules are groups of atoms held together by...
I'm going to ask your group about this video. So make sure you listen.
Biomolecules are groups of atoms held together by chemical bonds produced by living organisms. They are also what we need to consume every day in order to survive. One of these known macromolecules is called carbohydrates. Ever hear people say they're going on a low-carb diet, or all I eat is sugar and carbs, you know, the bad stuff? Well, what they are talking about is food that contains high levels of carbohydrates, usually grains like pasta, bread, crackers, and even sweets such as cookies, candy, and cake. The word carbohydrate comes from the word carbon and hydrate, which are three elements that serve the basic building blocks: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbohydrates can be divided into three main groups: monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are the most basic carbohydrates. They are the simple forms of sugar, such as glucose and fructose. A great way to remember this is to understand the parts of the name: mono meaning single, and saccharide meaning sugar. Disaccharides, di meaning two, is two saccharides or two sugar molecules that have been linked together forming a chemical bond. An example of a disaccharide is sucrose, which is one glucose and one fructose bonded together. Polysaccharides are carbohydrates that have many sugars bonded together. These types of molecules are great for storing energy, both for plants and animals. One type of polysaccharide plants use for storage is called starch, while animals like humans store them in the form of glycogen. Many people view carbohydrates as evil foods since they are diets that require low carb intake. However, it is a common source of energy humans use to function every day. It is like the fuel cars need to keep running. In fact, the energy it took to watch this video was probably from the carbohydrate you have eaten before. So this molecule is not entirely evil, but actually a good thing for us. Just make sure not to eat too much of it.
Yay.
I get the cake reference.
All right, so let me ask you this. What did it say that the word carbohydrate meant? 10 points. What did it say that the word carbohydrate meant? It actually talked about some elements, some chemical elements in that video.
I don't trust you.
Here, Sam, how about I record so I can just...
Nah, it's just fine like this.
Well, William.
Yes, stay correct.
Okay, Sam, we have a time limit here.
Wait, what is it?
What's carbohydrate? Where's that word come from?
Where's carbohydrate?
Yes, purple correct. Anyone else?
I do know, but I don't know.
Yes, white correct.
I feel like
We're writing it down. He's writing it down.
Anyone else? Came from the video.
Where would carbohydrate come from? It's something.
No, not right. But I won't count around orange. Anyone
I don't
else?
want to guess.
You don't have to guess.
I'm not guessing.
Green, almost. Not right or wrong. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Oh.
Carbohydrate. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Oh, that's.
Isn't that cool? You would eat paper?
I used to eat paper when I was
Yeah,
younger.
Yeah.
Alright. Maybe he could digest it. Maybe he had a mutation that allowed him to digest it.
Master eat.
Now, what is a fat? Fat is for storage of these molecules. See, these molecules give your cell quick energy. Your cells need glucose. And you'll eat starches or eat sugars, and that'll be broken down into glucose so your cells can use it for energy. But what if you eat too much sugar and don't need it all right away?
Your body likes to store.
It's not going to float around in your blood. You don't want to have too high blood sugar. What your body will do is store it in the liver as glycogen. But the liver fills up pretty quickly with glycogen. And then if you're still eating more sugar, here's what the liver will do. This is so cool, y'all. The liver will take this ring molecule and will straighten it out and remove the hydrogens. I'm sorry, remove the oxygens. And you'll be left with something that looks like that.
Wait,
That's
so
called a fatty acid chain.
could someone that was like really, really fat just not eat for a long time,
And they'd lose all their fat.
but they would still be like fine?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what people
This
call
is called a
anorexic?
fatty acid chain.
No, like people that are like 400, 500 pounds can just not eat.
And it's a good way for the body to store sugars for real long periods of time. The sugars can be straightened out, you remove the oxygens, the liver can do all this, and it can make these fatty acid chains, and then it can take another molecule that we call glycerol. Glycerol can also be made from a sugar molecule. And so the glycerol, when it's added to fatty acid chains, watch this. I'm going to put some fatty acid chains onto the glycerol. Click, click, and click.
That fat.
Now we have a new molecule. It's called a triglyceride. And that's a fat. This is what your fat looks like. Up close.
Calling this fat.
Like the fat that's under your skin. Looks like these. And what it is, it's sugars that you ate that have been stored away. Now, if you eat fats, your body can store this away right away. It doesn't have to change it at all. So if you eat food that has a lot of fat in it, you're eating this. And your body can just take that and store it right away. It doesn't have to change
How
it.
does the liver distribute it throughout the body?
What's that?
How does the liver like distribute it
Through the blood.
Oh.
You got blood moving through your liver, and
You got
your
fat
liver
in
just
blood.
releases it into the blood, and the blood takes it away.
That can't be good. Fat in your blood?
Yeah, there are always some fats in your blood, and then the fat will get to where it needs to go, like under your skin, to your skin, and the skin will grab that fat molecule and store it. The underneath layer of your skin. So, that's a fat. It's a glycerol with fatty acid chains. And they show, can you see that molecule there? There's your glycerol, and there's your 3 fatty acid chains, and you can hook them together with a dehydration synthesis reaction by removing an OH from one and an H from the other. Take those away. What do you make when you put that H with that OH? Water, yes. H2O. And then the things are hooked together. And we call that a triglyceride. That's a fat.
Wait, what's 3H2O?
3
Because you got one here, and one here, and one here for each of those 3 that you hooked up. Make sense? Do it, Asa.
Got it.
Have you ever heard of saturated fats versus unsaturated fats?
Are saturated fats bad?
Saturated fats are bad for you and unsaturated fats are good? Well, that has to do with the shape of this fatty acid chain. If the fatty acid chain is a straight line with all single bonds, we call that a saturated fat. If the fatty acid chain has a little curve to it with a double bond will cause like a kink in the chain. It'll make it bend. That's called an unsaturated fat. Are y'all with me here? Have you ever heard of a monounsaturated fat versus a polyunsaturated fat?
Never heard of that.
You might hear these in the future. Monounsaturated means it has one single bond. Polyunsaturated means it has one double bond if it's monounsaturated, and several double bonds if it's polyunsaturated. So your fats, this is what your fats look like under a microscope. Actually, you'd have to have a dang good microscope to see something this small. These are tiny, tiny molecules. Even our best electron microscopes can't see up this close. This is a model, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to make models of these things. Are you excited about that? You're going to have to build
tomorrow, and then we'll go work on the molecules?
If there's a quiz, it wouldn't be tomorrow, it'd be the next day.
Okay.
But would the quiz, if there was one, the next day from tomorrow, would it be covering the last two or just the last
It'd
one?
be covering this chapter because we get 2 days on this chapter. What do y'all think? Do you like fats? See, they have different names depending on how big they are and what shape they are. There's oleic fatty acid. There's palmitic fatty acid. See how they're different looking? 10 points if you can tell me why this one's bent and that one's straight. 10 points if you and your partner can tell me. Why would that one be bent and that one's straight? Why wouldn't they both be straight? What's causing the bend? 10 points if you can get that. Hold on, I'm going back to my desk. 10 points. What makes it bent? Yes. Who's correct?
I'm sorry.
Anyone else? Purple correct.
Wait, the one that's in Mary Joy?
No, I keep thinking of cupcakes videos.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that video. Of that, like, do you understand that rapper?
I'm like, let me
Orange is correct. Green, not right or wrong. Actually, I gotta say green is incorrect. Pink is incorrect. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Carbon atom is also bonded to the hydrogen. Can you read that?
Yes. White is correct.
Wait, where's
Okay, here's why. Hang with me here. Everyone look, especially if you missed it.
I got it.
These straight ones don't have any double bonds. Whoops, you just dropped something.
This Bradford okay.
This bendy one has a double bond. There's a double bond there to make it bend.
No.
These ones that bend a lot have more than one double bond. There's a double bond there, there's a double bond there, there's a double bond there. There's a bunch of double bonds. Double bonds make it bend. Make sense? Alright, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start reading this section in your book. Are we running this, Sam? Sam?
Yeah, it's running.